All right.
Luca,
I came casually and you come like this. Come on.
This is casual.
Oh, this is casual for you.
Yes,
Wow, all right.
that's what I do.
There we have it. Nice to have you
I used to
back.
walk around with a smoking pipe, but that became very unfashionable.
Very unfashionable.
Yes.
A good cigar would go very well, Ria.
Not in Australia.
Not in Australia.
No. We support you, Cuba.
Yeah, Cuba does good cigars, I guess. Cuba does good cigars.
You're too young to even know what Seinfeld is, but those of you who aren't, you would get it.
Fidel Castro, you mean? No.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Of course.
Anyways, guys, welcome to another podcast. We're here with Nathan Bray. Very, very good to have you back.
So
it's
good to
always
see
a good energy. You know, you're a nice guy. So we work. My desk is here. His desk is just one wall behind me, in front of me. Sorry. So it's always nice to share the environmental with you. And I came to him last week and I was like, okay, why don't you come again into the podcast? Because people did like your presence here last time you came. Okay. Well, you only came once, right?
It could have been my mum, okay?
Could be. Only one like. It's from your and maybe Maverick as well.
Yes, yeah. Maverick's 18-month birthday today.
Congratulations to Maverick.
How exciting.
Always here on the studio. We have Dave behind the cameras. Thanks, Dave, for filming it today. And let's start it. First of all, you are a very technical guy.
Very technical.
You guys that watch your YouTube channel knows Nathan from YouTube videos. And you know that he is fully technical. Like, 100%.
Not fully technical, but I'll use that.
Excuse me, I have my coffee here.
Please. In a trading perspective, due to the fact that timing comes into play, then I've got to listen to price action. Whether I believe price action is heading in the right direction, or whether or not it's completely irrational, I'll still use that price action as a guide to say what the market's doing, which results in me drawing lots of lines.
Lots of lines. Yeah. One day I was passing through your computer like, oh wow, that's a lot of lines. If you can see the chart, that's good. Anyways, I have some, you can't see my questions and I can't see yours.
No.
I have some good questions for you.
But I'm glad your questions are printed out large enough for me to read, because drawing all those lines have hurt my eyes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm reading a lot of reports, so for me it's kind of okay reading those small lines here. I got like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions for you to answer me today.
Fantastic.
And I want to know from you, from a technical perspective point, if the US dollar, it's finished its strength. Because we're looking at US dollar at 103, 104, that level, you know, trying to go to 105. Is it support, resistance, Fibonacci, whatever? I want to know from you.
Well, that is a great question. And it's hard. It's like letting go of a pet dog you've looked after for like... for a couple of years. In dog years, it's like 14 years, right?
Yeah.
So I think you, technically speaking, price action wise, you could be right.
Oh, really?
The last few years, very strong US dollars, significant corrections, but to be honest, I have been trading in line primarily with that trend. Okay, and every time it came down and looked like it might be reversing, the old steady US dollar held its ground and it continued in line with the longer term trend.
Yeah, so...
Well, that's finished, okay?
That's finished.
It's a sad day for me, really.
It is a sad day for me as well, because I've been bullish on US dollar. But not anymore.
Right, so when I look at the technical, and I'm talking about the US dollar index, relative strength of the US dollar to other currencies, it's now putting in lower top, lower bottom on the daily. Yes, the weekly trend is still technically up, but that is a lagging effect. So right now, this break, okay, I'm now one of those people that has trouble letting go. So it's put in a lower top and bottom, but there is a sort of 103.30 level that is still there. You know, when you're clinging on to something? So if we now get a close below that, it's so close to it right now, it's touching it. But that's, that's trying to hang on to a buoy when you're stuck in the middle of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not pretty, but right now, folks, I think we are seeing a reversal technically in this US dollar, especially on the daily and the dollar index. More importantly, I would like to say it's not. I would like to continue.
I would love to as well.
Right? But the problem is, I enjoy, Luca, when a good-looking, well-dressed, smart guy like you.
Look at you,
like,
man.
I'd love
Look at
disagreeing with you for that reason.
Oh, okay.
I like to think, no, he's wrong about this, but unfortunately, I think you're right.
Yeah. I've been talking to Nathan about the US dollar have been going to a different perspective as it has been for the last 4 years, as you just mentioned. And when we get like the market, there is cycles in the market, right? Especially moved by the central bank. Remember, like nearly 3 years, time flies. Nearly 3 years ago, when the Fed started to hike in interest rates, this led with a very strong US dollar since then, right? But now we've came in on a very, very important point for central banks. Fed have came in last meeting a little bit more dovish than they used to be on last year, 2023, especially from June, July last year to December. They've regretted a lot of they gave a step back on the hawkish. They step back, they step into the neutral to now come into the dovish. So step back from hawkish, come to the neutral, and now they're coming to a little bit more dovish. So what does that mean to the US dollar in a fundamental perspective point is we are hovering around the 103,800, 103,300 that you just mentioned. I do believe that if we get a break below those lows, we may see US dollar weakening the strength. But bear in mind, what is the US dollar index? It's basically a basket of all the currencies. Like Euro has the most of the basket and pound as well. We have JPY, we have CAD and other currencies. But Euro is the main take on the US dollar index. So in my opinion, the Fed, yes, will lead to a weaker US dollar.
Do you think they'll be the first?
I do think that they will be the first.
Like they'll beat Australia?
No, I don't think it will be Australia. No, Australia's far away.
No, meaning they will cut before Australia cuts? Because the issue I've got, it's like if you have the US decide to start cutting, okay, then isn't it just like a gateway for every other currency to say, well, they've cut, so we'll all cut as well?
So the only problem here with the Fed, if the Fed does cut first, then Australia, let's say, is the inflation on US and the growth that they are having amid of this craziness. We did had Q3 last year, much stronger growth. Q4, weaker growth.
As in the US?
US.
Gotcha.
Yes,
gotcha.
US. And then now we had somewhere good services PMI, bad manufacturing PMI. So we are seeing bad manufacturing.
Does America make anything anymore? Like, is that a big...
They're pretty good on services, but not too big on manufacturing anymore.
Right.
Most of the manufacturing is going to Europe now.
Okay.
Right? Like German producing big technologies, big machines technologies, I would say. Let's say Volkswagen, the car brand. They all produce the cars in there because they have the high precision machines. No, those EAs robots that they're even doing surgery with those robots now. Yeah. They have like little hands and it's so crazy. Anyways, so Germany, it is a big manufacturer.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
This is my problem.
Yeah.
I'm thinking driverless cars are coming. It's a matter of time, right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Would you allow a pilot to fly you if he wasn't there, or if he was just a robot? Like, would you feel safe as a human being? Because the reason I bring that up, right, your answer, I'm thinking I would kind of be okay with a robot doing surgery on me,
right.
But I wouldn't want a robot flying me. like in a plane? Is that just a psychological problem I've got, or?
If you have,
I mean, you don't have to answer that.
if you let a robot actually make a surgery on you, why wouldn't you let a robot fly a plane?
I know. I'm saying this is my psychological.
I think
kind
it
of,
is. I think as though those, how do you call it in technical? Is psychological level.
Yes.
It's like that on you.
Yes.
I mean, look, just so you know, I don't want to make you afraid, but the pilot is there only to take off
and
land. All right? And if it happens, any problem, that's pretty rare. I think most, like 65, 70% of the flights right now, they don't have anything.
Sure.
Then the pilot gets in to interrupt and do his job.
Yeah.
Because the pilot is trained to solve problems. Quick problem solver. That's what he is.
And to look good in that suit,
and to look good.
Like, they look good.
How good? Actually, did I tell you that one of my dreams was to become a pilot?
What?
Yeah, this is why I know a little bit of aviation, I would say.
You kind of are a pilot of people's money, though?
Yeah,
you know,
sort
that's
of,
how because do you think we could get a badge with some wings when we're trading?
Look, I can sort it out this for you.
No, really.
But yeah, that would be looking
That would be
good.
cool,
Yeah,
right?
that would be
I'd
cool,
like
yeah. Mr. Nathan Bray.
Yeah, I like it.
A Gate 107.
Well, I did name my son Maverick after a famous pilot.
Oh, really?
Not really,
okay.
but,
All right.
Everyone thinks that, so.
Everyone thinks it's just a cool name. Anyway, so yes, I think the US dollar has come to an end.
So then my question is, back to you, is it where the US dollar is weakening, but then relatively once everyone else follows suit in some degree, that their interest rate is still higher than everyone else's? Does it change direction and just have a deeper correction, or are we in a period where other currencies, because I can't think of other currencies that might outperform the US if they were to cut? So is there a standout for you, or are you thinking now we're just in a corrective phase?
Well, when you ask this question, that's a really good question actually. We need to think about where does the money go, right? Because the money we get off from US and needs to go from someone. For somewhere, right? Most probably the money, there's two options that I'm thinking of here, either Japan or Europe, all right? Either Japan or Europe. These are the two main focus point right now. I'm gonna get there on Europe, but I'm gonna go for Japan first.
Okay.
When we have, first of all, what are you? Are you bullish or bearish on Japanese yen for this year, let's say?
I think it's oversold.
Oversold.
Yeah, but does that mean that it may not go up much?
Okay. Cool.
And then the longer term trend could just stay in place.
So
I don't want to, it's not like I'm swapping teams here and saying, now I'm going to really go for this.
Yep.
I feel like it has to have some, once
relief.
It's oversold this much, and the way that currencies are a medium of exchange, right?
Yep.
It's just too cheap.
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
in a sense where what can Japan afford? When other currencies are so high. So I feel like from that perspective, it's definitely way oversold, if I could put it that way.
Yeah, I got you. So you are on a good point. You are on a good point. But we can't forget that there is something bigger than only a top on Japanese yen.
Okay.
There is the BOJ, the Bank of Japan.
Yes.
That have been tricky since last year when Kuroda, that is the new chairman, not too new, he's been there for a year and a half now, not too new chairman for the Bank of Japan. And every time that he was, before he came to actually be a chairman for the Bank of Japan, he came into the meeting and said like, I'm going to be hawkish, I'm going to hike rates as soon as I get in. Well, didn't he know that the situation was a little bit deeper than what he was looking at on the surface? Because as soon as he get into the Bank of Japan and become the chairman, he was like, hoo-hoo, there's a big problem here, boys.
Or do they need to say that to be liked enough?
That's true.
It's a bit like an election. You make all these promises, I'm going to do something different. And then you get into the White House, you can get that tap on the shoulder. Hey, mate, you won't be doing this or this.
Yeah.
Which, pure speculation, could be bordering on conspiracy.
Oh,
okay,
he chose it. He chose it.
It seems like there's a pattern of when people make big promises, they're liked, they're populist, they get in, and then suddenly they don't follow through with what they said. Do you think maybe Kuroda is doing a bit of that?
Yeah, I do think.
There is a far bigger problem he wasn't aware of.
I do think that this is this is something, but there is a big problem in Japan as well. I will touch base on that right now. Because not only him, but as well big business men and big business, people are moving money out of Japan. So, do you believe in Australia? Do you believe that can be a good country?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, it is a great country.
Yes.
But as any real Aussie, I'm short the Aussie.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the thing. Japanese Japanese government bonds have been shortened, and those people that are shorting Japanese yen, they are getting the money out to UK,
right,
and Europe.
Yep.
So they're moving the money out of Japan to put into euro. Okay. So what I'm looking at Japanese yen is a little bit of weakness because there's a bit of outflow in there. But we will have, after Kuroda hikes the rates this year, most probably Q3, Q4. Because remember, when we're hiking rates here, we need to have a positive inflation, a higher inflation than 2 to 3%. We need more than this because this is controlled inflation.
Sure, they don't have to export as much of their money out as they had to do before to chase yield.
Perfectly.
Right.
So they need more inflation. What's inflation right now in Australia? 4.71%.
Whoa, I remember a certain head of the Fed that said, the problem is we need more inflation. Remember that? Inflation isn't big enough. And I'm thinking, I don't like prices going up. Why would I want prices to go up?
I know why they say that, because they want to hike rates and get money on their pocket. That's why they want high inflation.
Possibly.
But in Japan, it's a little bit different here. Japan needs a high inflation to hike the rates that have been negative for more than years.
So, from my understanding, it was like, and especially when I was trading the markets the day of Brexit, right? You could see all the money moving from the yen across into the pound, right?
Yeah.
Because they were sort of borrowing at low interest from Japan.
Perfectly, yes.
And then thinking Brexit's going to happen.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, my apologies. Brexit isn't going to happen. And therefore they were buying pounds, they were buying British stocks until it did happen. Yeah. And then you watched all the money that day flying back into Japanese yen. So is it still a borrowing kind of?
Now it's still, because think about it.
The rates are so low.
It's negative 0.10%.
Sure.
Right. So if you can get negative 0.10% interest rates and put somewhere where it's paying 5.5, that's a good money. It's free money.
It is.
It's free money. So Japan is tired of that. It's a little bit of a slave. Say, people getting money, putting somewhere else, and then they get the money in and pay negative 0.10%.
Yeah,
and then that's it. So yes, now when the money gets off from US, right? When the Fed start to cut the rates, most probably we will have an inflow on Japanese yens, taking the money there and putting on euro. So I do believe. So you say that you feel pretty hard to see any other currency against the US dollar getting stronger. Euro is one of those.
Euro is the one that you're looking at.
That euro dollar, there is a possibility of going to 1.12.
Oh.
Noted.
Okay. That's
1.12. That's what my financial modeling and variables are expecting.
And that's good to know, because there are points where when you are in a trend trading, and I'm more of a swing trading weeks kind of person.
Good,
But there's a point where you start to go, is this overbought? now? Do I really want to be a buyer in line with this trend up at a higher point? A bit like one might ask with stocks right now. You might be like, yes, the trend is definitely up and I'm praying for a pullback, right? Because otherwise it just keeps moving higher. But when I look at it, I'm like, do I really want to be a buyer this far up?
This level, yeah.
Right? So it's a similar type gauge we've got at the moment. Whereas your view is, if you're going, to sell US dollars, you'd be probably choosing to buy euro as opposed to pounds?
Exactly, yeah.
Right,
So the thing here is that pound dollar and euro dollar does go pretty similar, right? They have a correlation of 87%, if I'm not wrong, something like that. Yep. So in the end, 87% of the time, they are going in the same direction, right? Euro dollar may be going down now and pound dollar may be going up this week, but maybe next week, they are sort of similar.
Yes.
So I do believe on this. Now, why do I choose euro instead of pound? Because euro have been a little bit more prompt to the inflation and a little bit more prompt to the PMIs. So PMIs are very important when we come to the Forex market.
They're getting better, aren't they?
They're getting better.
Yeah, you're right.
Now
German just came out. Right.
UK is not that good.
Yeah, I was just a bit nasty. I kept thinking, laughing, because I see the markets are very rangy at the moment.
Yeah, they're
real strong directions up or down. And I kept thinking, if bad news comes out of the US, then guess what?
Then
Europe's going to come out with bad news. But we are starting to see, as you're pointing out, manufacturing and some services are actually improving.
Yeah, they are.
And Germany, one of the biggest powerhouses globally, is in recession. But it's like, is that starting to turn around? And you're suggesting yes in Europe, and that could be, if you had to choose to sell US dollars, you would choose euro over, definitely over Aussie.
Definitely over Aussie.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah,
but
I
it's true. Come on. And New Zealand.
And New Zealand, yeah. I just wanna point it out something here. Japan is on a technical recession.
Yeah.
So why does Japanese yen is stronger?
I think it's just because it's so cheap.
True.
Like, there's got to be a point where you go, that is just too cheap.
I tell you why. Because Kuroda have told so many times that he's going to hike the interest rates that only 0.1% of higher inflation made more than 2% drop on USD JPY.
It's like a Halloween movie.
Mate,
right?
can you believe that? 0.1% higher.
It's coming, but we just don't know when.
Yes.
It's like you're waiting for
something
You're
happening.
too young, but, Jason Voorhees coming with the axe and killing. You don't know where.
But you don't know when.
But it's coming.
It's coming.
Right? So
it's coming. I'm just telling you, it's coming.
And it's been coming for a year or two, right? We're still waiting.
It's coming for a year and a half now, but it's coming. It's coming. When it comes, it's going to be a good trade.
And it'll be savage.
And it's going to be savage.
Do you think that affects the trading market, knowing that when something is so oversold, with that kind of potential threat, that you do tend to maybe steer away from selling it drastically further?
Yes, I am like that.
From a line drawing perspective,
No, definitely, because, on a line drawing perspective, you're right, I guess. I don't know much about line drawings.
Luca draws lines, I've seen him. Trust me.
Don't tell my secrets. Don't tell my secrets. Come on, man. All right, anyways, so now in a fundamental perspective point, yes, the uncertainty of when it will happen does make the market like, oopsie, I'm not going to put my money there. All right, because remember, we're not talking about $1,000 accounts.
That's right.
We're talking about $100 billion account.
And for purpose. They actually have real solid purpose for why they're doing it.
Why they're going there and how and when and what this will happen. If that happens, what we do. Remember, guys, retail traders and professional investors have a completely different mindset. completely different mindset.
Yeah, mine's just to copy them.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
like,
That's what I've always been trying to explain for everyone.
yes.
Copy the professional traders, what they are doing. You know, we have a Nathan here that was a professional trader since whatever age. And
a long time ago.
And worked, you know, traveled the world. I was a fund manager in a hedge fund. So listen to what we have to say.
I started trading professionally just before 9/11, and Luca was born.
Yeah, I was born
after
there.
9/11. Okay,
yeah, boy. 2001.
So it's like a whole. The reason I say that too is because it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
What happened before doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
As the world has evolved, technically trading's evolved to a point now where it's irrelevant. So, Luca, can I ask you a question?
Oh my God, let's go. Right.
Where is this smart money going at the moment?
That's a good question. Thank you for the question.
Pleasure.
It's going for my pocket. No, I'm joking. Most probably going to Europe, as I say.
Yeah, right.
Most probably going because listen, Europe is going good PMIs, both manufacturing and services PMI.
Okay.
US only services PMI, manufacturing not good. That means no exportation, right? No one wants to buy things from them. Why? Because the US dollar was too strong compared to other currencies. Therefore, when the other countries want to buy something, right? They're going to be looking like. US dollar is too expensive. If we can get the same material or the same product or whatever from other country that has a cheaper currency right now, that would be lovely. So very low expectation in there. GDP have come weaker from Q4 2020, 2023.
Sure.
So US, it is still pretty good in a sense of resilient. It has been really resilient this year. We did have good data coming from it on the first month of January. You know, NFP came 311,000, was expecting 178,000, so triple.
It's amazing how that can happen in saying that.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Yes.
And then this week we're going to have NFP as well. So
I'm looking at the market from that perspective and saying, now that the trends have broken, NFP is just going to be its usual maybe wildfire of movement. Yeah. But I feel like you either need to wait for NFP to happen and let the dust settle and then see where the market's placed from a technical perspective. But I feel like at the moment, it's almost like we've got a change of trend, especially on the daily.
Yeah.
It's telling us already. So even if the US comes out with a completely unexpected number of jobs being created for jobs we don't really know what for, because we know their manufacturing's falling off a cliff, we know their services isn't looking great, we know that the data's a real problem. So, so I don't know if perhaps this NFP is going to be as insightful, yet it seems when I'm watching business media, it's all it's like this is the final round of the latest Rocky movie, right? This is the moment where it's all going to happen. You're probably too young for Rocky 2, but another story. But do you get that too?
Like,
I feel like the market has given us enough data insights.
Yes, correct.
Where this is just going to be another data point
that will go for a minute, and then after everyone will forget about it.
Right.
No, so where there's money,
unless it's bad.
Unless it's bad.
And then everyone that's on this new trend is
then it's going to start it,
it could get overextended.
So where the smart money is going? Europe. I would say Europe.
Okay.
Going to Euro, it's going to a little bit of Japanese yen as well. And pound. There's a bit of a little foot on the pound as well.
Sure.
So why does that happen? Well, because when investors look at, Fed is looking to cut in June, right?
Do you believe them?
I do believe.
Gotcha.
But I don't believe on them. I believe on the market precipitation of the overnight swaps.
The market's believing it.
The market is... So first thing. So we're going to have a meeting of the Fed this month, March, at 21st. Okay. On January this year, 2024, when that was the first week of the market, I heard some people on the trading floor talking about, okay, the Fed will cut in March. I was like, yeah, they may be doing this. Because remember in December, when the Fed was pretty dovish towards, when Jerome Powell was pretty dovish towards some questions the journalists have asked him. And then now when comes January, I was like, okay, there may be a possibility. Second week of January came, first week, well, it was second week, first Friday of January came the NFP. I was like, they're not gonna cut in March. Then came the CPI. I was like, they're not gonna cut. So what happened? The market didn't look at these numbers, and the market sort of, like, I don't care about those numbers. I think that the Fed will cut in March. Cool. January, he didn't say anything. February, he was like, we're not gonna cut in March. So the market was like, oh wait, so they're not gonna cut in March. Because one of the journalists told, one of the journalists have said it. So I can't remember the exactly question, but was something around those lines. The market is waiting for a cut in March. It's not aligned with the Fed expectations for June. What do you think about that? He's like, well, the market can think anything.
Absolutely.
The market can think anything.
The market thought, and when I say the market, let's say everybody thought you needed to buy toilet paper during COVID, which wasn't even a gastro, it was a flu.
True.
The market thought that. Everyone went out and bought every shopping centre out. They were wrong, but would you go against that populism? You don't.
No, you don't.
You've got to go with it, even if you think it's crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you mightn't be liquid long enough to wait for you to be right.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that the kind of frenzy we're seeing as far as... Okay, is it possible that banks, big businesses, small businesses, people, they need a rate cut?
Of course.
So it's almost like they're pushing it in a direction.
I don't want to say anything, but look at Coles and Woolies. They need a rate cut.
Everyone needs a rate cut.
But look, listen, it's so
and like
funny,
COVID,
right?
we just need to live with it.
Inflation is not transitionary, because inflation is transitionary after we are at nearly 8% this last year, right? Anyways.
Well, in my 20s, it was transitional.
It was.
To my late 40s.
To late 40s.
Right? Like transitional could be a really long time.
Yeah.
So
it's so funny.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I'm really sorry for those people that don't know anything about economy, because they look at this and like, okay, the central bank, it's a high institution. They know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Let me tell you that. Anyways.
So on that, right? So we're seeing central banks, and I guess we're talking about big corps and governments as well, buying gold.
Oh, yes, okay.
So when we were talking about smart money, you're describing, the players in Europe and where funds globally might head towards.
Yep.
The way I'm looking at it as well is gold. I'm seeing a sudden heavy spike.
Heavy spike.
We're going to new highs in gold.
We are
now.
very,
It wasn't
very
just
close.
a triple top.
No.
Even from a technical perspective, all major resistance is made to be broken. We can't, we're not sitting here saying it's a solid roof. But now that it is broken, closed above all those things, is it possible that a lot of smart money is moving into gold, Luca? And my question is why?
Okay, cool. I like your question, and I want to make a question for you first.
Okay.
What's happened with Bitcoin, man? Because, all right. I've created a hashtag. It says, forget about crypto, go to the moon.
Yes, you know what? I really liked it.
You liked it?
I saw it.
Nice.
Great picture as always, and great thumbnail.
Anyway, I've created these,
yes,
and I want to know from you. Like Bitcoin is 68,000, I think, right? 66,000, something like that.
Yes.
I don't even follow much Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going up a lot. It went up like from 30,000 last year to 60,000 this year, so nearly 100%. But people are forgetting about the actual assets that exist in the world. Gold is one of those. Gold went up more than 5% last week, man.
And to new all-time highs.
And a new all-time high.
In very sudden fashion, right?
Very sudden fashion.
Not like it was a build-up over time.
No.
This, to me, I thought we were weakening with some headwinds and would happen for a while.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the regular rate that if you go and buy gold, started to also catch up with it. So we're now seeing that perhaps that was some central bank activity. And that's where when you were talking about the big money, I'm like, that's where I'm seeing that suddenly moving and willing to pay all-time high levels. Now, there is no way the reserve currency or the leaders of central banks at the Fed or America coming up to an election, is going to like that.
No.
So, therefore, I was wondering, who are these players and what is this outcome? Are they betting on the fact that, like the market is, that rates are going to be cut, and that is going to be good for gold? And are we seeing an overextended sell-off in fiat currency?
Look, when we look to gold, right, answering your question now, it's just crazy.
Like, sorry, silver hasn't taken off.
Silver hasn't, no, silver hasn't.
So it was like a sudden direct, sorry, it's interrupted.
No, because, no, it's all right, because gold is and always will be the big boy. All right, it doesn't matter. Bitcoin.
It's like Bitcoin compared to other altcoins.
They call it shit coins.
Oh,
yeah,
great name.
Yeah, that's what they call. All right, they call it shit coins. That's the coins that don't go anywhere forever. It's just trading like in cents and don't go anywhere.
My issue, before you go on, about the cryptocurrency frenzy is that it's like there's this whole argument that it's about being able to say there's only going to be scarcity, X amount made. It's going to be decentralized. These are all the pretty benefits.
Yes, correct.
But now you're inviting BlackRock and an ETF in to be buying in the market.
Yeah, boy.
Now, the evil, troll that you're trying to save the city from. You're now inviting Jason Voorhees to come stay in your house on Friday.
And I just don't get it because
is that going to create a problem or stabilize the upside?
I think they are buying like billions of dollars every day. And wait a minute. You know what's most
Sorry, and they're not using Tether?
No, wait, exactly.
They're buying with real money.
No, exactly. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
Do you know where they're buying from? Because those big institutions can only buy from one person. That is the ETF. They can't buy from anyone else. They can't buy from Binance because they don't have liquidity.
Oh, right.
They can't buy from brokers because brokers don't have liquidity. They can't buy from liquidity providers because they are the liquidity providers. So they have to create an ETF to buy those Bitcoins.
Yeah, it gets me nervous.
It does, right? It does. Wait a minute. Let me tell you another.
Is it going to just be controlled now?
Well, wait. There's something cooler than that.
Okay.
There's another crypto, Solana, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. Yeah, another one.
I'm so sorry if I missed the name. Maybe Solana or may not be Solana, but there is a company that is selling those cryptos, whatever Solana or whatever crypto it is.
We know the one.
They sell it for double the price.
A solid premium.
Yes.
Yes.
They sell
see how they use these words?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like going to Harris Farm Market. To buy the same fruit you can buy at Woolies.
Yeah. For double the price.
But for a lot more.
And they're not complaining about inflation. Anyway,
Right.
So they are selling for, okay, so Nathan, you are a normal person, right? You don't have $100 billion. Solana for you, 50 cents. Oh, Jordan, BlackRock, how are you? For you, $10.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, Jesus, man.
Yeah, it's like, Sam Bankman-Fried on steroids and kind of justified in a way.
Yeah.
Okay, so question for you.
Yep.
All right, about this, by the way. So there is this suggestion that you can only make 21 million bitcoins, right? Like
there is a closed supply. Yeah.
How do we know that?
Oof, that's a good question.
Is that just something people say? Or is there a way to actually go, all right, well, show me that a massive move in price, BlackRock CEO goes, we need more, a bit like they do to the Federal Reserve, right? Oh, we need to go above our payment level, our debt ceiling. Oh no, this is the ceiling. Oh no, we need some more money. Ceiling gets shift. What is to say now with this big potential demand that they're just going to have to make more? Like, is it written somewhere? Is there some law? Is my question.
There's no laws. There's nothing.
And I'm stealing this question off clients who have actually, and I was quite shocked. I was like, oh, wow, that's a
There is a good question. I can't answer you because I don't even know the answer, but I know someone that knows. I can bring that guy
Please do.
Into the podcast.
I would like to know.
He's a crypto fund, man. He's a crypto fund. He was telling me, because he's the boyfriend of my friend.
Okay.
And I met with her into high school. And then now she's just my friend. And he's her boyfriend is a crypto maniac, bro. Wow. He puts all in crypto. And he knows everything about crypto. So that's going to be cool. I was actually thinking, I'm going to bring him here and answer this question. I'm going to note it down. I want to ask him this question because he asked me, why should I invest on dollar? And I say, well, there's multiple reasons why you should invest in Forex, right? Yeah. And why should I invest in crypto? And then he tell me all of these things and I want to tell him.
The only thing you could buy with crypto is a pizza about 10 years ago.
Well, yeah.
Come on, man, what do you use? That is why the US dollar has its strength, because there's lots of them and people use it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I know one day when crypto grows up and becomes a big boy, right, it will no doubt, with technology, become quite usable and fungible. And I'll be like, okay, this is really good.
Yeah.
But until then, the problem is it's getting up there now. It's not a child anymore.
Yeah.
Like, even my son, who's 18 months, can run now. Crypto can't run yet.
You made me think about something.
Right? Like, that's where I'm curious.
You made me think about NVIDIA founder. Forgot his name now. Dave, put it down here. The NVIDIA founder, please. That's his name here. This guy last week said something that shocked me. He said, we're using AI on the wrong way. We don't need to learn code to code AIs. AIs need to understand humans to do what we want.
Oh, that's, you know what's going to happen? Picture Justin Bieber. He was a sweet young kid.
Yeah.
Then he became a human. He had tattoos and car crashes and cops and drugs and etc. Right?
Yes.
I don't know if I want the AI to become like a human. I think it's really good the way
isn't it dangerous or you think it's cool? Because I think it's dangerous.
I think it's dangerous.
Well, the guy holds a $1 trillion market cap. He can do whatever he wants, man. Just let it, you know.
Okay.
Who is Intel against him? Intel is no one, against him.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
I was 14 when Terminator 2 came out.
Yeah.
Right? So I have this kind of in-depth fear of what's going to happen when these AIs really kick into gear. Okay. Especially if they start to go down that very dark rabbit hole of understanding human traits and what humans are, right? Is that going to make the AI extremely dangerous?
Just answering your questions about gold and Bitcoin, I don't think Bitcoin is going to be the new gold. No way. I think gold will...
can't be.
Okay, so just one thing here. Gold will go to the high. Gold will go to the high.
Yes.
I have a long position. I'm a big believer on buying gold right now. Right, this is my opinion. This is my personal take. I do think that gold can go to 2,180 until next week. Also, this week if NFP comes lower, I do believe on that. This is just some FIBO projections.
No,
and then after that, we may see how it goes. But yes, I think that there is a lot of inflow into gold, especially because this is an uncertainty time. A lot of central banks will start to cut this year: ECB, Australian, New Zealand, and the Fed. Fed will be the first, ECB will be the second, New Zealand third, and Australia quite similar, I would say. Bank of Canada probably more towards end of the year, and then comes Japanese yen hiking. Now I answer you. Do you think that the money, the smart money, will actually leave the currency that they have on ECB, on the Fed, on RBNZ, RBI, BOC, and not invest in BOG, Bank of Japan? That's when they will hiking the interest rates, when all of the others are cutting interest rates? Come on. Come on.
Okay, so put it this way.
This is 5 years.
I think you're right. I totally hear what you're saying, and I'm looking at it from the perspective where I spoke to a friend of mine who's got a couple of mortgages.
A little bit.
And when I said to him, yeah, look, I wouldn't trust what the central banks say, because it's like me at the gym. I want to do a bunch of things, but I don't get
I don't trust myself.
Right? So I don't get there. But what he said to me in response was, do you realize that a 25 basis point cut, what it would do to my life? Not much. He's like, that's going to make a $200 difference.
Yeah, nothing.
So what effect? And I thought about that and thought, okay, so let's say they do a couple of token cuts, okay, in Australia, for example, and we have a big housing, debt problem. Is it going to be enough? Like, will it be just a token gesture to sort of say, hey, we're helping you out? Or will people turn around and go, yeah, but that's not enough. Giving me food for one meal isn't helpful when I'm going to starve for the rest of the month, right? Type of thinking. So my question then on top of that to you is if we do cut, is it going to be a token gesture before inflation kicks back in and we continue to raise, which will put us under pressure? Or is this going to be savage cuts?
Okay. That's the thing, right? The only thing why the RBA haven't cut yet is because they want a little bit of more down in a steady down inflation.
Yeah.
And this is the reason of why they don't cut, because if they cut now, then we have to hike again.
It comes back.
And they can't do that.
Yeah.
That would be, meticulously crazy. So they need to cut, and 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 that's it. Right?
So they need to... They're only cutting because they have to, not because they want to.
Of course.
Right.
So then higher rates for them, it's much better.
Yeah.
Much better.
Right.
They make much more money than lower rates.
And it's great for savers.
Yeah.
But how many people in Australia?
Well, is it great?
Right now have got all this money in their savings accounts.
Is it really great for savers? Because if you have $1 million on your bank account sitting in there, you're getting $5,000 per year.
Yeah, they've just been a bit slow in putting up the other side of the ledger.
Yeah,
which can happen.
Yeah, all right. Anyways.
And they say, right, we'll give you this better rate, but only for 4 months as an introduction.
Yep.
Before we then go back to what you had previously.
Right. Let's go for the last question here.
Give it to me.
This is gonna be so good. What are people eating cereal for dinner in the US?
Well, the
Kellogg's conundrum.
Correct. So Kellogg's came out and reported, okay?
Right.
Big cereal company in the US, if you don't know.
Yeah, if you don't know, it's a very, very big cereal company on the US. And go ahead.
I grew up eating Kellogg's, so I can admit that. And look, they came out all excited, saying 20% increase in their sales.
Yep.
And the quote was saying this idea that people like Kellogg's so much, they're eating it for dinner. And then it was like a mic drop where the guy realized, oh no,
that's not
Americans
good.
are eating cereal for dinner.
Because they don't have money to buy real food. So
and they have a debt and inflation problem. So is that the precursor?
That's not good, man.
I'm calling it the Kellogg's curse.
Kellogg's.
What do you think?
I like that. I like that.
You can steal it. It's fine.
Okay, I'm going to steal it.
It's not like...
Yeah. You didn't put a patent on that?
No, it's not like, on a blockchain or anything.
Okay, it's not on a blockchain.
In fact, that's what we could call one of those new shitcoins. We could call it Kellogg's Curse.
Kellogg's Curse, I like that.
Okay.
Let's do a hashtag, guys. Kellogg's Curse. Anyways, so this is just crazy. Like, in a sense, wow, cool. You recorded a 20% up in sales.
Yeah.
That's really good for you. Congratulations. Welcome to capitalism. But why are people buying? Because they don't have money to buy actual food.
And who wants to have
cereal for dinner,
right? Like,
who wants it?
I mean, it is, no offense to anyone, but it's a bowl of sugar.
It is.
So it's not like, I've just come back from the gym, I'm on a shred diet, I'm being healthy. It's far from that.
No, it's far from that.
Are these sort of precursors, Luca,
definitely.
This US dollar could get a lot worse?
Yes, when we look to these, the best way to interpret what's going to happen with the country is talking to people. Talking to different people in different areas and see what they're saying. Mate, if someone comes to me and say, I don't have money to buy cereal, I don't have money to buy a loaf of bread, or, I have to pay my mortgage that it's so high, note it down. Okay, mortgage is high. I don't have money to buy a good supermarket. Okay, note it down. Prices are increasing. I don't
just
have...
not as fast.
Not as fast, but they are.
Still increasing, right?
Well, why they are not? Because there is a 6-month period after the first hike of the central bank to then these have fell on the economy. So when we look to these, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
That's going to be very interesting days ahead.
I don't think US will get into a recession. I think this is maybe too much. But it's going to be very hard times there. I think it's going to be very hard times.
And recession, you're sort of saying like 2 quarters of negative growth?
2 quarters. Yeah, that would be a technical recession when we have 2 quarters.
Yes.
But I don't think that we'll get into a 2-quarter.
In Australia, we just had retail sales come out at like 2%.
Yep.
But we've increased our population of the entire country by like 2.5%.
2.5%, yep.
So surely all these extra people are going to be buying more stuff, right?
And
even though went up by 1%.
And even though the parents will have to buy more stuff to the children. Right? So this is beautiful. This is economy.
It's a bit scary.
It is a bit scary.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to talk about something here pretty quick. There is Coles and Woolies. I think we need to touch base at this topic a little bit, right?
Well, there's Coles and Woolies, and now there's a thing called Aldi, right?
Germans.
But the Germans they're just doing it the way it was done, like Germans would. Exactly. And in a way, it's kind of improving. But tell us about Coles and Woolies.
No, I just think that it's kind of interesting what they say. They come to the. I'm going to stand up. They come to the thing. They put it here, and they read it. Right. This year. You ready?
So good.
This year, we had a hard timing. Going through the inflation wasn't easy. Unfortunately, we had to fire a lot of staffs. Therefore, we're going to go through hard times. Next day, 20% more in sales. Yes, boy, let's go. So what's actually happening here? What? So you one day you're being sorry, another day you're arbitraging prices.
The reason is normally the board buys themselves a brand new Rolls Royce every year. This year they're going to have to buy a cheaper BMW. All right? Right? That's tough. That is tough times for rich people.
Well, not the CEO.
Maybe not tough times for you and me, but...
Yeah. Well, the CEO gets wrecked from Woolies, so that was not good for him. Anyways, we end another podcast and leave that for later, guys. Thank you so much,
Pleasure
Nathan.
to talk to you all. Nice. And thank you so much, Luca.
Subscribe to the channel, guys, and watch Nathan's videos as well. You want to say something?
I just want to say, folks, this right now to me is the lines in the sand, the trenches. This is World War I right now. We're seeing Germany wins one night and then the Allies lose the next, and it's this massive range of markets. It's like we don't have a really clear direction, but this is what formulates the end. So I'm really being a bit cautious as far as shortening my expectations, but staying in line with the longer term trend. But once we break, folks, once we get and it's clear as far as the direction goes, I think we're going to have fantastic trading conditions for months and months on end.
Yeah, and again, if you told we would fight, you were wrong, because fundamentally technicals, they always combine it. It's the best.
That's right.
It's the best thing we can have it.
The problem is, technically, I've been right for a long time.
Yes.
And fundamentals have chased me down, caught me up, and eaten me alive. So the technicals and fundamentals are agreeing, which is scary.
Which is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much. Subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up on this video, and share this podcast with your friends.
Sounds good.
It's going to be very nice. And remember, next one, I'm going to bring the crypto guy here.
Oh.
I want to ask him the questions. Put down the questions. What do you want to know about crypto? All right, put down the questions.
Please.
All right, guys, peace. See you in the next one.